Hey Leo, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. General readings, take what works, leave what doesn't. We're actually doing I-ching readings here, but to get sort of an overall topic, I found it more useful to start with at least one card. And then over on the extended, we'll be using this card as our overall for the reading. So we have Five of Wands, conflict, disorganization, maybe inner conflict, can be outer conflict, can be arguments, discussion. Everyone has an opinion and everyone has a right to their opinion. There are ideas. It's a high conflict card. High conflict card, either inner or outer. Your idea's in with the mix. Nobody's got the upper hand here. There's maybe some mayhem and confusion. Maybe some people enjoy the mayhem more than others. If it's within, part of you likes this. Part of the conflict, maybe you get something out of not resolving this. All right, now we're gonna throw some coins. I'm already jiggling my little coins here. Hey, did you see them? Here they are. And we're gonna throw them 6 times. We build our hexagram from the bottom up. 3 coins, 6 times. 2 heads. So that's yang, and I always think of that, and it's called like yin yang. So I'm trying to decide whether I think about yin yang as like a little boy or it's like before the changes. So is it, I don't know, I keep thinking of it as like pre-midlife crisis, and then the changing line is the midlife crisis. That's more how I'm viewing it. All right, 3 heads. Well, that's exciting. That is changing yin. Yin will change to yang. I guess it's more like a gender change. But anyway, we got a dynamic line, so that makes this all very exciting. 2 heads, yin yang, unchanging yang, let's call that. Oh my gosh, another dynamic line, 3 heads. So that will change from feminine to masculine or yin to yang, or whatever. Throwing coins is inherently binary. What do we got? 2 heads. Oh my gosh, the head's winning here. Not a lot of tails showing up. I guess, a lot of... Well, here we go. Here are 2 tails. Speak of the devil. All right, I'm going to do my calculations and be right back. All right, Leo. So what we ended up with was actually the pattern was really interesting. A very distinct pattern emerged. We had, before the lines changed, we had yin yang, yin yang, yin yang. So I got a sense of a lot of push-pull. It could be like boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, because coins are binary in this situation here. So. And then we have good news, bad news, push, pull, initiate and wait, give and receive. But because we have this Five of Wands card, this conflict card, I see a sense of possibly giving and receiving blows or arguments or something like that. And then the reading sort of continues on with this Five of Wands idea. So, and then we have the overall plan is the same, nothing's changed in the plan. But then we have sort of this balance on the human becoming unbalanced and aggressive, this balance on sort of the earth and our situations and our money and our livelihoods and all of that, going from balance to more initiative or more aggressive. So we're heading overall from, a pretty balanced state here. Between masculine and feminine, between initiation and reception and giving and receiving and all of that. So pretty balanced state, but then it moves into very much more aggressive territory. So much more aggressive territory. I also see so we had the top trigram is water, and that's over the trigram 7, number 7, which is fire. And so that together they made the hexagram number 63, which is fulfillment. And then it changes to lake over heaven, and that hexagram is number 43, stride. So as I was seeing this, the fire changing to heaven, there was some sort of passion that's moving. There's like a prayer or a hope or a wish that's getting much more aggressive, and that as it's moving towards like there's a prayer to the universe, or there's something towards the universe. It sounds like a prayer or a wish or a hope to me. And then we have the water and lake, so some sort of concept or idea moving into much more defined territory. So we're having like maybe sort of an argument or a disagreement or a conflict that was just kind of vague, starting to sort of solidify into knowing what you want, putting that out there, being a little more, taking more initiative, being a little more aggressive. And because of this conflict card, it could be also like just some sort of vague kind of not liking something to becoming an actual exchange of words, or even fisticuffs. You're being actually cautioned at the end here to not actually get violent. So, which is kind of wild, especially since this Five of Wands card can indicate, in the reverse, my understanding is that it indicates often like an actual physical fight. Right now we just have sort of this theoretical argument right here, and it's the overall, we're advising you to not take things too far, not get too aggressive in here, because we're losing most of our yin energy, and it's going mostly to yang energy. So we start off with number 63, fulfillment, and our two dynamic lines are line number 2 and line number 4. So line number 2 literally translated is, the woman lost her wig, seek not, it will be found in 7 days. Okay, so don't waste your time on unnecessary things, unnecessary arguments. Don't go back. I almost see this as like, don't go back and ruminate things. And what's yours, this had a really strong vibe to me of, what's yours is going to be returned to you. Like, you don't need to make a fuss over something that happened. You don't need to go back there. There's a real sense of don't go back to something in the past. Don't go back there. It's not necessary to go rehash, especially with this conflict card. It's not necessary to rehash something in the past. It's already, it's going to, what's yours is going to be returned to you. It's going to find you. So not going back. And there's a sense too of, don't be embarrassed, don't have shame about what happened back there. There's no need for that. I think there's a sense here of trusting in the universe to deliver, trusting in the universe that's what's yours is coming back to you. So there was like a loss, perhaps even a very humiliating loss in the past, and don't go back and rehash that. Don't go back to that place, because it's like if you're, how I'm seeing it sort of is like the person is pushing the stroller down some sort of, walkway or sidewalk, right? They're pushing it down the sidewalk. Their kid, they're looking out. The kid takes a sock off, throws it off the thing. It's somehow a very valuable sock. Grandmother made it and she's passed on, right? So, so there's a sock back there. So you get home, you realize your kid took the sock off, threw it away. And this is like saying, don't go back there because someone's picked it up and they're delivering it to you. They saw what happened or whatever, and they're going to bring it to you. They just haven't gotten there yet. And so don't go back to where you were. Don't retrace your steps. Don't go to a previous point where a humiliating and embarrassing loss occurred. Just wait, because someone picked it up. So it's not even going to be back there. Someone else picked it up, and you're going to come across it some other way, some other how. So, so that's what I'm getting from dynamic line number 2. Dynamic line number 4, literally translated, is the quilt got wet, be alert all day. So we are literally talking about a wet blanket, which is apparently a metaphor that goes back thousands of years. The wet blanket. It gets everything wet that it touches, right? And it's so watching your attitude, it is contagious. So being very vigilant about the attitudes around you, especially in this high conflict environment. I want to say, don't match energy. Be in charge of your energy. Choose your energy. And do not let the energy that other people bring into this conflict, into this situation, affect you. You're in charge of your energy. And I don't really I get the concept of I match energy, right? That whole idea I've been hearing a lot lately. And I disagree with it, pick your energy and what you want to bring to it. You can change your energy based on what someone else is bringing to the situation. Let's say you came into this situation feeling generous, magnanimous, going to let the past go, which is what this is telling you to do, to let the past go, don't go back there, don't rehash some previous event. And that's what, but then the other person may bring their energy, so then you might have to shift what you're doing a little bit, but just be extremely careful that you're not doing what they want you to do, that you're not matching some sort of energy. And I don't even know if they're intentional. I want to be careful about that. I don't know if their energy is intentional, but this is you be intentional about your energy, and understand that everyone you come in contact with, you affect, and everyone you come in contact with affects you. So being very intentional, I feel like, about your energy, especially with a conflict. Is this conflict avoidable? There's nothing here that says it really is. So there is conflict. It may not be avoidable, but it is ramping up in some sort of aggression, and you're being cautioned to not rehash the past. You're being cautioned to not go back and ruminate on a prior humiliation, possibly. And you're being cautioned to be vigilant, very vigilant about your attitude and your tone. So where are we headed? Where does this all change to? It's hexagram 43 called stride. We can talk about that as pacing, energy. I want to talk about stride, your stride, right? I want to talk about as an energy signature. Your energy, we're already talking about needing to be in charge of your energy in this situation. One of the best ways that we recognize other people is actually their gait. If you can't see someone's face and there's no other telling things, you can often recognize someone from their gait. And I know that you've seen that. You've seen someone walking, you've been like, oh, that's so-and-so. And one of the ways you're probably recognizing them is their gait. And I think of that as an energy signature, like a pattern. They're taking steps, repeated steps. And that pattern is like, I want to say like ripples. So this is the way in which they ripple through the world. This is their gait, their repeated frequency. The frequency with which they move through the world is their gait, is their stride. So, so that's what I was seeing with this, is like being conscious and aware of the energy you're bringing, of your energetic stride, of the frequency and the patterns with which you move through the world, and understanding how it's interacting with other people's patterns and how they move through the world. Now remember, part of this conflict isn't that anyone is necessarily correct. We'd be getting a different card. We'd be getting 7 of Wands if you were in the right here. So there is like a sense of equals, conflict among equally valid opinions, perspectives, all of that. So the danger and the bad news, so it is like danger, it could be also bad news coming in. So that's stride. It could be one step. Also like one step further, one step too far. Someone may go one step too far in whatever conflict we have here. So it's just basically, here's the literal translation. At an inquiry at the king's courts, for some sort of trial, the captives wailed, and alarming news came from the provinces. Do not bear arms forthwith, auspicious to go somewhere. So movement is okay, but you need to watch your movement and not escalate a situation. There's already a lot of pain and suffering and difficulty involved in this situation, so there's no need to escalate it. I almost see with Lake Over Heaven, a sense of definition. So lake to me often talks about like ego. It also talks about feelings, because it's just so well defined. It's on a map. Its borders are well defined. It contains, it's very contained. A lake we can also see as a cup, really, and it's very well contained. It has these borders, it has a name, it has definition on a map, it's labeled. And I see that often as like our sense of self and our ego and our emotions. They're very well defined, but what are they defined over is like just this vastness, the universe. That's how I see that heaven, what this book calls heaven, is sort of the universe, the whole universe. And so we're having this like defined thing, but what's it situated in? It's not situated in a mountain. It's not situated. It's like there's just a lot of instability here, and we're trying to put a definition and maybe box other people in, box ourselves in, something like that. We're trying to define and contain something over something that's just very not, it's not very stable. It's not, the situation feels very unstable, and yet we're trying to like put definitions or contain something so we can control it and understand it and see it and label it. So that's why we want to do that. But there's also this sense of like, but it's not, the lake is sitting over some really, like these definitions are sitting on top of something that's very vague and very, isn't supposed to be defined and is supposed to have like flow and theoretical. It's almost like people are having like some sort of argument, and who they are is sort of like being put over and above some sort of theoretical idea. Like it's like, this is just a theory, or this is just like, no one really knows what's going on, and yet we're pretending every party here is pretending they know what is going on. So it was just very clear here. There's danger and news all about, eschew violence, deal with the situation through diplomatic means. So trying to bring a little bit, we just ended up like from a balanced state to a very unbalanced state, and you're being encouraged to be more diplomatic, to bring in more balance to the situation. You may feel very much that you're right. That's why we're getting the 5 of Wands, I think, instead of the 7 of Wands, because otherwise it would be adding fuel to the fire. Like we already have fire here. We'd be adding fuel to your fire by saying like, you're already right. You need to understand that everyone here has a perspective, and those perspectives are valid. This card is not giving anything about who's right and who's wrong. In fact, no part of this reading is taking a side. It's just saying, watch your attitude, watch your actions, be diplomatic, watch your vibe. Watch your vibe. Boundaries, where do you need to establish better boundaries? So better boundaries can also be like just healthier boundaries. Maybe you have giant boundaries and you need to be a little gentler on where you begin and end. This also comes in with the lake card, because the lake has, right, I was talking about very well-defined boundaries of who they are. And so boundaries are very important to relationships, very important in conflict. And it's more about, it's not about what, some people use boundaries to like control other people. This is not a proper use of boundaries. Boundaries are about what you will put up with, what you will do, who you are. Again, just being very focused on your own vibe and what you're bringing to what seems like a very volatile and aggressive situation. I want to say like, don't bring your guns to town. Like, don't, I mean, the statistics on people that carry guns and their tendency to get into trouble and need to use those guns are, as far as I understand, is pretty remarkable. Like, if you have a gun, you're looking actually to use it. You'd like to show it off a little bit. So to me, this is like, don't bring your guns to town is just what I'm hearing is like, don't go looking for a fight. Don't prepare for a fight. The most diplomatic thing you can do is leave your guns at home, because then it's going to force you to think through the situation from someone else's perspective and be smart about a situation rather than just, man, I'm just going to do whatever I want, and if someone doesn't like it, I'm just going to shoot them. So watching your vibe, and I think watching your boundaries. And I think that boundary too is about understanding where you begin and where you end and other people begin. So I think it's also about respecting other people's boundaries of what they don't want to do, they don't want to deal with, they don't want to discuss, or they don't want what they don't want. So there could be, so there's just a sense of like being respectful of other people's boundaries and also maintaining your own, of what you will do and what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do in this situation. Starseed, what lights you up? I think this is really about like focusing on your vibe and on who you want to be and seeing that and understanding that vision of who you want to be, what are you on earth to accomplish, and having a larger vision as something sort of boils down into some sort of more aggressive conflict, but keeping your larger vision of who you are is what I'm seeing here. Take time to breathe out. Yeah, just chill out for a while. You don't really need to get too involved in this conflict. I mean, do you like conflict? Does it give you a sense of purpose and movement? Take time to breathe. Yeah, breathe and count to 10. Be bold, make the first move. Oh, okay. Well, if there's anything I have learned about conflict, if you're going to throw the first punch, you better make sure it's a knockout. So I don't know if where that comes in this reading, but be bold and make the first move. Maybe so take that under advisement. Maybe especially if you're being diplomatic, make sure that be very aware and conscious of your first movements here, and setting the tone for some sort of way to deal with the conflict. Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. Again, I am seeing like that the divine plan is balanced, but the way something is moving through reality has gotten too aggressive here. So, but this is just like you're laying the groundwork for other things. The divine plan. So, oh, yeah, right? The whole idea of like this humiliating loss, but not going back there, because what's yours is going to be returned to you. So I can see that as part of the divine plan, is like trusting in that, trusting that there is a divine plan. It can be very helpful in calming tempers and chilling out about things. Seeding the light, laying foundations. So I usually think of this as like planning stages of something. Some bigger project. And we're just talking about the layout. So if you're like building a house, like, and you're at odds with your spouse, which is often a very big stressor for spouses, is trying to build a house together. Trying to build a house together. I think it's because the way I've heard couples that are trying to build a house together talk about it is this is their dream house. This is their one opportunity, their one dream. And they have different dreams, and then they start to perceive the other person as interfering with their dream. Don't you want me to have my dream? Well, don't you want me to have my dream? Like, so how's something gonna, like, so maybe you're in the planning stages of something and there's already a lot of conflict here. So we're gonna get like a little more advice here from these ones. Be spirit, sweet results await. Well, I was not expecting this, all this conflict, and maybe how you approach this conflict and this other person is laying the foundation for how the whole thing can go. So you're being careful with your vibe. You're trusting the universe, trusting the divine plan, and being extremely careful with your vibe. This is like a powder keg situation, and you need to make sure that you're not sparking anything. Oh, it's really hot in my apartment. This feels really good. Anyway, sweet results await. So again, I see this as trusting that sock your baby threw off of the stroller while you're on your walk is going to come back to you. Sweet results await. And dog spirit, be loyal to what you love. And I think that's what lights you up. Being loyal to what you love and choosing, I think there might be a lot about choosing your battles here and how you want to approach them. And there's loyalty here. There is loyalty here. Don't doubt loyalty. But I think being loyal to what you love is a lot about like choosing what you want. And then I thought we'd talk a little bit about chiromancy or synchronicities. So I'm going to pull these cards with an intent for a synchronicity to help guide you. Synchronicities to look for. We have 2 here. Be spirit, prosperity. Oh my gosh. I'm asking for synchronicities, and we got 2 bee cards. Bees also talk about communities working together, community projects, communities working together, hard work, and sweet results await and prosperity. And we got bees. So looking for bees. I think you'll find some. This is so adorable. I love synchronicity. That's why I wanted to start pulling synchronicity cards. It's like, I always start my day with a synchronicity card pull because I'm fascinated and I adore them. So, bee spirit. They're both called bee spirit, and just, this is why I love this stuff. So, bee spirit, prosperity, and then moonlight enchantment and magic. All right, so we have a wolf howling at the moon. We have moonlight, enchantment, and magic right here. And it looks like this wolf is in a field of purple wildflowers. There's some howling going on, and it's number 25. And this is number 5. So synchronicities to look for. Well, we're not going to miss the bee. And then moonlight, enchantment, magic. So, all right. Well, Leo, I hope that was helpful. Join me over on the Extended on Vimeo. I'm going to do a more traditional tarot spread off of this 5 of Wands energy. So if you want to hear more about conflict, and this conflict in particular, join me over there. If not, we'll talk later.